It's a case that has divided our country. Today, former police officer Derek Chauvin is sentenced for the murder of George Floyd. Now at 5, how community leaders in Utah are reacting.
Are you planning on setting off fireworks at your home this year? Well, Chiefs across the Salt Lake Valley have a message for you. Just skip it. You'll hear from the man behind that message coming up.
Another day with showers and thunderstorms across the state coming up. I'll let you know how long this active pattern will last.
Residents tell me 400 gallons per day comes out of this pump to make sure that their basement stays dry. Why this is happening and why they say they're frustrated with city officials, I'll show you in a story you'll only see here.
A new push to get Utah's farmers to conserve more water.
Several pandemic-related federal assistance programs will end in Utah tomorrow. The goal being getting people back into the workforce. But one expert says that is not what's going to happen. We begin live at 5 with breaking news. Utah Highway Patrol troopers are on the scene of a fatal motorcycle accident. This is in Draper on southbound I-15. Here's a live look at the scene. This is near 150th South. We do know there are other vehicles involved. No word on any other injuries at this time. The crash is creating quite a bit of backup on the interstate. We will continue to monitor this situation and bring you the very latest as it does become available.
Derek has played over and over in his head the events of that day. I've seen the toll it has taken on him.
Most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family.
After the death of George Floyd sparked a radical change and nationwide protests over police brutality last year. The former Minneapolis police officer who killed Floyd by kneeling on his neck has learned his fate. Derek Chauvin will spend 22 and a half years in prison.
Fox's Madeline Rivera is on the ground in Minneapolis with the developing story.
It was an emotional afternoon. George Floyd's daughter addressing the court through a video saying that she misses playing with her dad and wishes that he could still be here with her. Heartbroken family members say the sentencing is just one step closer to closure for them. Former police officer Derek Chauvin has been sentenced to 22 and a half years behind bars after murdering George Floyd on a Minneapolis street last year. Chauvin was convicted of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter after a month-long jury trial this past April.
If you could say anything to your daddy right now, what would it be?
It would be, I miss you and I love you.
Floyd's death on Memorial Day last year sparked worldwide outrage and protests after a teenager captured cell phone video of Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds as Floyd pleaded for help. Chauvin's mother addressing the court for the first time, saying she supports her son and believes he is innocent.
Derek is a quiet, thoughtful, honorable, and selfless man.
Chauvin making a short, vague statement to the court.
I want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest.
3 other officers who were on scene pleaded not guilty to related charges. Their trial is set for March of next year. In Minneapolis, Madeline Rivera, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A judge denied Chauvin's defense motions for a new trial and for a hearing on jury misconduct.
The killing of George Floyd sparked protests and police reform here in Utah. Now, those who demanded change are reacting to the sentencing.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins joins us live from the George Floyd mural that's in downtown Salt Lake City. Haley, what are people saying today?
Yeah, I heard there was surprise today over the length of Chauvin's sentencing at 22 and a half years. They say they thought it would be a lot shorter. Now, a month after Floyd's death, the Utah legislature voted to ban knee to neck chokeholds. A day after the former Minneapolis police officer was sentenced, Governor Cox signed 12 bills into law reforming law enforcement. Social activist Arlene McDonald was expecting fewer than 10 years in prison for Chauvin. She says this sentencing sends a message to Utah police.
It's time for accountability. I believe the message that is sent is if you go outside of your training, go beyond your training, and you commit a murder, you can't fall back on just, oh, I'm a police officer, I have a badge and license to kill. there will be accountability.
Yeah, and it's not just social justice activists who are surprised by the length of this sentencing, but also legal experts. Hear from them coming up on Fox 13 News at 9. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
With red flag fire conditions continuing to pose danger for the 4th of July, fire chiefs from all over the Salt Lake Valley have now come out with a message about fireworks.
Fox 13 Spencer Joseph is live in Sandy at fire station number 31, where the idea behind this video was born. Spencer.
Good afternoon. Yeah, and I want to get this right. Name all of the agencies. Chiefs from Salt Lake, Sandy, Murray, West Jordan, Unified Fire, West Valley City, South Jordan, Draper, Bluffdale, and South Salt Lake. That's a lot of departments. All of those chiefs coming together to share the message, just skip it. Just skip personal fireworks this year.
All the chiefs are united, saying the same message.
The state of Utah is under an emergency drought order.
It's a message unifying all the fire chiefs in the Salt Lake Valley.
The Salt Lake Valley Fire Chiefs are asking you to skip personal fireworks this year and make sure everyone can enjoy a safe and fun holiday.
We want you to skip a year, and that's actually the hashtag, skip a year.
This year is just too dangerous for fire crews with fireworks-related fires.
The temperatures are expected to be extremely high over the next few weeks, if not the rest of the summer.
So chiefs from 10 different agencies came together to make this video.
Well, first of all, it was intimidating.
This is Sandy's fire chief, Bruce Klein.
I just thought, what can we do as fire chiefs in the valley? So I had this idea. I sent an email out. Hey, chiefs, why don't we get together? The Salt Lake Valley Fire Chiefs have joined together today to encourage you not to use personal fireworks. And immediately I got all the chiefs responding. Great idea.
He's the one behind the video, bringing so many fire departments together like never before.
Not only do the crews go to fires together, but the chiefs work very good together. And I'm just proud to be part of that team.
The video is about 2 minutes long, with each chief saying a part of the overall message, asking those just not to let off any fireworks.
And the chances of a sparkler or a firework setting off a field fire or a house is really high.
On a normal year, fire departments respond to a staggering amount of additional calls.
Last year, from July 1st to the 7th, and it was 667 additional calls.
And that has every crew worried.
Every time they go on one of those, they're putting themselves in harm's way.
But he hopes that as much of this message gets through to as many people as possible to just
skip a year. Skip the year. Yep.
Yeah, it is just an important message to skip a year. And the other message is if you still want to go and see fireworks, go to those big shows. Every fire department will have a presence at those professional shows to make sure everything is safe and nothing goes wrong. And if you do want to see that video, it's already up on our website, fox13now.com. Live in Sandy, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Spencer, thank you. As the window for lighting fireworks in Utah approaches, Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill is weighing in on what it means for cities and fire authorities. Many municipalities have banned personal fireworks in certain areas or even entire cities. Today on Fox 13 News Live at noon, Max Roth spoke to Gill, who says the goal is to keep communities safe.
The reckless conduct of some people can actually destroy property and risk lives, and that's a worthy cause for us to educate the community and enforce.
Gill says ultimately it's up to cities to delegate resources to enforce the rules. His office is prepared to screen and file charges as needed.
Warmer temperatures today. Still, though, some areas of the state are seeing some rain showers, Allison.
Yes, showers and thunderstorms coming down right now for quite a bit of Utah, mostly the eastern half of the state. Along with this, in addition to the heavy rainfall, we're seeing some gusty wind and also some lightning. So right now, most of this is south of Vernal and Duchesne over towards Price, moving through Highway 6 down into southeastern Utah. We also have a few thunderstorms up towards I-80 right now, entering Wyoming. That's where we're seeing some heavier rain moving through. What we've seen so far with a few of these storms near the Idaho border, there was actually enough rain that it ended up bringing some debris on I-15 near the Idaho border. So these storms are packing a punch. The ground has been so dry, and that actually causes a few more problems because it can't saturate as quickly. But right now, southeastern Utah, thunderstorms near Canyonlands down towards Blanding. So keeping our eye on that. We ran into a problem yesterday with some people near Dead Horse Point getting struck by lightning. So good day just to stay inside. Temperatures in the 80s. We do have warmer temperatures and a few more chances for thunderstorms coming up in the forecast.
Still to come, see how UTA is still doing its part to help make sure everyone who wants a vaccine can get one.
And it is now day 2 in the search for people trapped in the rubble after this condo building collapsed in Florida. Hear about the challenges that first responders are facing today.
More than 8,300 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in Utah since yesterday's report, and a little more than 5,900 more Utahns are considered fully vaccinated.
Well, the Utah Transit Authority is still helping riders get to their vaccination appointments. An initiative was originally set to expire at the end of this month, but UTA will continue the free rides until the end of September. Riders do need to show proof of their vaccination appointment to be eligible for the free ride. The offer is good on all UTA services, including tracks, FrontRunner, streetcars, and buses.
There are 309 new cases of COVID-19 today, and get this, 14 deaths are being reported, but 10 happened before May 25th. The 7-day positivity rate continues to climb again and sits now at 9%.
Still to come, Vice President Kamala Harris makes a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border to get a first-hand look at what federal agents are dealing with. Why she's facing some criticism during her trip.
When you can't watch Fox 13 News live, watch us streaming online for free at Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device.
Buildings just don't fall down in America like that. So there had to be something very wrong with that property.
There is heartbreak and hope as rescuers continue to search for survivors in the rubble of a condo building that partially collapsed near Miami. At least 4 people are confirmed dead.
And 159 people are still unaccounted for this evening. And there is still no update on the cause of the collapse. Isabel Rosales reports from Surfside, Florida.
Entering day 2 of search and rescue, challenges are not getting any easier for these first responders from the Florida downpours that are adding weight, unnecessary weight, to all of this piles of debris, to fires. If you see right behind me, we can smell it out here, and you can see that hazy smoke, fires sparking from this shifting building, just making their already tough job even harder. In the shell of a condo building, rescuers removing debris bucket by bucket, sifting through the rubble, hoping to find life.
We are listening for sounds. It's not specifically, human sounds. It could be, tapping. It could be steel, kind of twisting. It could be some of the debris kind of raining down.
Through their heartbreak, many friends and family members of those missing still holding out hope. But for some, it's dwindling.
Until we have official word, we don't really have a lot of hope.
Pablo Rodriguez's mother and grandmother are among the missing. He hasn't been able to tell his son.
Every Saturday since he was born, basically, they've come over and spent the whole day with him. So he's already asking me if they're coming.
As the hours pass, others feeling frustration.
I'm not discounting their crews. I'm not discounting what they're collectively trying to do. But at the end of the day, they don't have the ability and the capacity to be able to do this.
Heavy rains and gusty winds complicating an already dangerous search.
This work is being done at extreme risk to these individuals. Debris is falling on them as they do their work.
Miami-Dade County's mayor says the search is the priority and the focus as crews continue to seek the missing. Yeah. And an important yet grim update here. We're told that at the Reunification Center, family members waiting to hear hopefully good news of their loved ones are now being asked for identifying information about their missing loved ones, from birthmarks to tattoos to scars to dental work, in preparation of what could be tough news to hear. Also, DNA swabs, again, pointing ahead to possible identification of bodies. Hopefully that is not the news they hear today. In Surfside, I'm Isabel Rosales.
May we never have to sign another, no president ever have to sign another monument like this.
President Joe Biden there signing a bill into law this afternoon, making the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, a national memorial. The nightclub is the site of the 2016 deadly mass shooting where 49 people were killed. The bill's name, H.R. 49, references those 49 lives lost.
Vice President Kamala Harris visited the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso, Texas today. She and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and members of Congress visited a Border Patrol station. They also met with members of a faith-based nonprofit providing assistance to migrants. The vice president has been criticized for not visiting the border sooner after being tasked with leading efforts to address the root causes of migration issues.
The Justice Department is suing the state of Georgia over its new voting laws. Sweeping reforms passed in March include requiring a photo ID for absentee ballots by mail and limits time to request absentee ballots. It also replaces the Secretary of State as election board chair with an appointee. The lawsuit comes as an effort to overhaul election laws was blocked this week by Republican senators. Since May, restrictive voting laws have been passed in at least 14 states.
Drought and dangerous wildfire conditions go hand in hand, but they don't always line up completely.
For example, a rainstorm can help a lot with one and not nearly as much with the other. Fox 13's Max Roth joins us with an in-depth look at how summer storms really help and hurt. Max.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob, you know, Utah gets a lot of thunderstorms in the summer, and sometimes the lightning and thunder are all that those storms have to offer us. We'll talk about those in a moment. But first, what did we get from the storm this week? A great summer thunderstorm with a good amount of rain. This is our latest drought map. It probably won't look different next week. How do we know? Well, this graph shows Salt Lake City precipitation this year. This little blip was from the latest storm. This bigger blip was May 23rd. A good amount of rain in Salt Lake. But here was the drought map the week before that rainstorm and the week after. The drought got worse. Still, rain is good. Shelby Law will tell you. She's a meteorologist helping coordinate wildfire response in the Great Basin region.
We don't make great strides in improving the drought during the summertime months usually, but if we don't get any precipitation during the summer, then our drought will get worse.
And some places in Utah saw a lot more rain than Salt Lake City, but it won't dent the drought. It will, though, help keep fires at bay.
When the vegetation is extremely dry, like we've had, your lightning efficiency at causing fires is going to be much higher than it is after a few days of a precipitation event.
The rain changed fire prediction maps, like this one from earlier this week, the red indicating grasses, twigs, and other potential tinder up to a half-inch wide were dangerously dry. But here's the map after the rain. It's not good tinder for now. Now to medium fuels, 1 to 3 inch wide kindling before the rain and after. Another big change, but the big branches and logs before and after, most of the big firewood is still primed. So a wet storm helps, but Utah gets lots of dry lightning. This map from earlier this week is meant to show the likelihood of lightning starting a fire. But the map after the rain washed away some of those red dots, but they'll pop back quickly. What we can do?
Continue to decrease our human starts as much as we can because we can't control the natural starts, and we will be seeing more of them in the next coming weeks and months.
We took an in-depth look at those fire fuels earlier this week and what their conditions this year say about the danger from fire, whether it's started by Mother Nature or by something like a stray bottle rocket. Live in studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Yeah, unless and until we get some more rain, we're going to have to just be so careful. It's tinder dry out there.
We're going to need a lot more rain.
And we talked about this yesterday. I am a little concerned. I was seeing some chatter on social media being like, okay, well, it's fine for fireworks now. We had some rain. The rain did not do anything significant to our state. So it is still extremely dry out there. Please be really careful here in the coming weeks, as they were just saying. It's 84 here in Salt Lake. Yes, we do have some thunderstorms across the state right now, but that's mostly for eastern Utah. Here's what I'm tracking for you. Right near the Wyoming border, we're seeing quite a bit of rain coming down right along I-80 near Evanston into Utah. Then we have quite a bit of lightning moving through the Price area and then south of Vernal. So eastern Utah, Utah, seeing a lot of our rain right now. And then across southern Utah, this is where we do have some lightning strikes that have been just north of Kanab near Bryce Canyon over the last few hours. But temperature-wise, it is noticeably warmer here along the Wasatch Front compared to this time 24 hours ago. So right now it's about 80 to 85 for the Wasatch Front. St. George close to 100 degrees. And looking at our dew point, I think, and a lot of meteorologists agree, that dew point is the best way to judge how muggy it is outside, as opposed to relative humidity. That's obviously relative to the temperature. So what I'm trying to say is dew point's the best way to see how muggy it is. The higher the number, the muggier it is. And so right now it is a little muggy for a few areas like Vernal, where it's at 53 degrees. But we look at the forecast for the next couple of days. We will be drying out and we're going to have somewhat of breeze this upcoming weekend. Right now our wind is about 10 to 15 miles per hour here across the state. But when you wake up tomorrow morning, mid-60s first thing in the morning, into the 70s by 9 a.m. So overnight temps will be around 60 to 65 degrees, and then highs tomorrow will be about 80 to 90. So another warm day. Still a chance for a few thunderstorms into tomorrow, but as we track this system, the strongest storms will be off to our east. Looking at tonight at 8 p.m., potentially some severe weather moving through Oklahoma, Kansas, and into Missouri. Look at that line of storms. So we will continue with a few thunderstorms of our own here across Utah for the eastern part of the state for tomorrow afternoon. For St. George, temperatures will be around 102 tomorrow, 104 for Sunday, and then keeping it close to 100 degrees through next week. Overnight temperatures mid-70s for St. George. And for Salt Lake City, upper 80s tomorrow, 94 Sunday, and then we're going to keep our temperatures mid to low 90s early next week.
I want to use less, but I want to use less wisely.
As Utah's drought hits the agriculture industry hard, a new push to get even more conservation to happen.
Federal pandemic unemployment assistance ends for eligible Utahns starting tomorrow. Coming up, find out what resources are still available for those looking for a job.
And it has been a hot topic for years. How do you stop traffic jams in Little Cottonwood Canyon for good?
If you've ever come up here on a winter day, you've seen traffic backed up many times all the way to Bengal Boulevard and sometimes beyond.
UDOT is down to 2 solutions and we'll break them down for you.
In today's Money Watch, what's old is new again, with a twist, though, at Apple.
As the pandemic eases, the company's retail chief tells Reuters it will ramp up retail operations at its Apple Store locations. However, some of the changes Apple had to make during the lockdown, such as express counters to help customers quickly pick up orders, will be made permanent in its stores.
Aunt Jemima pancake mix and syrups are now being phased out of stores. Products for the new replacement brand called Pearl Milling Company have started showing up in some supermarkets. Now, shoppers will still see the Aunt Jemima brand for a while as retailers do make the transition. The old brand will be referenced on the new packaging. Last February, you may remember, Quaker Oats said it was retiring Aunt Jemima because it was based on a racial stereotype.
Wendy's is starting to test a new plant-based burger. It's called the Spicy Black Bean Burger. It's part of the Made to Crave menu. The burger doesn't try to mimic a meat taste. This one is layered with texture and spices with crunchy chipotle jalapenos, creamy melted pepper jack cheese, and a spicy chipotle sauce. This trial run, will take place in Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, and Columbus, Ohio, starting on Monday.
With enough spices, I think you can make it taste good, right? Take a look at stocks. They ended the day mixed. The Dow tacked on 237 points to close at 34,434. The Nasdaq lost 9. The S&P gained 14 there for the S&P.
With 63 job openings in the Salt Lake Police Department, Salt Lake City is trying to find ways to attract applicants. Coming up, how much more the city's union workers will be making now.
You can hear how soaked the water is into the ground. Residents tell me 400 gallons a day is wasted. I'm Erin Cox, and coming up next, I'll show you the story you'll only see here.
Welcome back, everyone. Several Layton residents are seeing hundreds of gallons of water wasted every day, damaging their homes and lawns, making things pretty squishy there.
Yeah, Fox 13's Aaron Cox broke the story in March when residents were told their basements were flooding with groundwater. Now they believe the water is coming from somewhere else.
Aaron has the update you will only see here.
Christian Butters and his family are emptying the sump pumps before a family vacation.
We were out here for at least an hour, and then it just keeps filling up, so it's like a never-ending.
3 months after moving in was the first time their basement flooded.
That was the start of our 2-year journey of water issues.
2 years and multiple drains installed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 7 total.
Butters says it's about 400 gallons a day, 365 days a year.
As soon as I learned 12,000 gallons, I divided that by 2 years, and that's 575,000 gallons of wasted water. Our kids were out there like chipping at the thick 3-inch ice of the water that just kept getting dumped out, and we're like, this is not normal. And they say it's sprinkler water, but in the middle of winter, there's no sprinklers that are going on.
Originally, Butters says Layton City told them it was groundwater flooding in, but now they believe it might be something different.
They've tested it 3 different times, and every time they've tested it, it's come up with fluoride, so that's clean drinking water.
A Layton City spokesman told Fox 13 the city can help with code violations, but the rest of it falls to the developer, Richmond American Home.
And no matter how many times I've asked them to fix it, it's always filled with water.
Wasting precious water in the middle of a historic drought.
I would like the city to take action to come to the developers and find out where the water lines were being placed, and then just do a little research digging, whether it's a big hole or a giant hole, to see how much water is produced in that certain area.
A Layton City spokesman says they're trying to figure out where exactly all of this water is coming from. He says that he's working with at least 2 of the handful of families that have come forward about this issue. In Layton, Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Now, the developer, Richmond American Homes, tells Fox 13 News, quote, "We don't publicly comment on individual homeowner circumstances, but we take their concerns very seriously and investigate situations thoroughly."
Utah's drought emergency is affecting farms and the food supply. Agriculture is by far the state's biggest water user. But as Ben Winslow reports, producers are trying new ways to conserve the precious resource.
Utah's agriculture industry is seeing as much as 75% less water because of our drought. Now, policymakers are looking at ways to optimize the water supply we have.
Any rain we got yesterday, like, look at that. Just powder, nothing.
Utah's drought emergency is hitting farmers hard. The heat is bringing some crops in early. Others are being slashed. Some farmers are selling livestock because feed is diminishing.
We talk about 80% of the water statewide being used for agriculture. You know, a lot of that water use is being used in our rural communities, and that's the lifeblood of those communities.
Joel Ferry is a 5th-generation farmer and a state representative. He's part of a working group set up by the Utah legislature to look at water policy. Some of their ideas he's putting to work on his own farm. For example, he's lining and covering canals.
So you don't have the leaching, you don't have the loss, you don't have the weeds and everything else consuming all that water.
Other ideas include maximizing the efficiency of sprinklers and changing how farmers plant crops.
And I want to use less, but I want to use less wisely.
But it costs money, and for farmers, it can be a lot of money. Representative Ferry is pushing his colleagues in the legislature to consider incentives and cost-matching grants to get farmers to be more water efficient.
Box Elder County or Cache County here in northern Utah are going to be different than what's going to work for Washington County or Kane County or Iron County down in southern Utah. And so we have to be flexible in how we're, I think as we look at this on a statewide level, how we're managing that, setting policy.
So far, the legislature has set aside $280 million for water conservation efforts in Utah, but that's not just for agriculture.
If you look at the climate models, these droughts are expected to continue to get deeper.
But Representative Ferry says unless things start turning around for Utah, they need to rethink agriculture policies.
If we haven't made the investment, spent the money, and improved the systems that we have, then we're going to just you're going to be struggling again.
Now, state lawmakers are looking at ways to use federal money to make some of these water conservation plans happen. In Corinne, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News is told 4 reservoirs in the state are getting close to running dry. Right now, the Department of Natural Resources says the Gunnison, Paiute, Otter Creek, and Yuba reservoirs are all very, very low. The state is predicting they could run dry sometime this summer. That will impact agriculture producers in central and southern Utah.
Right now, 2 people are being treated in the hospital after being struck by lightning last night at Dead Horse Point State Park. Officials say the pair was struck while on the park's popular West Rim Trail. Crews received the call at about 5:30 and found the patients in critical but stable condition. They were first transported to Moab Regional Hospital before being flown to a higher-level trauma center.
A teen is dead and another person is recovering after a crash in West Valley City today. Police say a 16-year-old was driving northbound on 5600 West when the driver veered into oncoming traffic, hitting a black SUV. The teen was pronounced dead at the scene.
We don't know why at this point, why he drifted off into the northbound lanes, the incoming traffic. It's still under investigation, but we don't know why at this time.
Police say the driver of the black SUV was sent to the hospital and at last check was in critical condition.
Police are investigating after a giant concrete slab fell off a trailer this morning in West Valley City. It happened at about 5 a.m. A semi-trailer detached when the driver was turning onto 201 eastbound from 5600 West. Now, the semi was hauling a giant slab of concrete. You see it there. It fell off the trailer. It did damage the road. Luckily, nobody was injured during the accident.
Yeah, so that concrete slab that fell off of his vehicle is about 50,000 pounds, and that does damage not only to the roadway, but it can cause extreme damage to life and property as well.
Wow, luckily there were no cars nearby. Officials say it is essential for truck drivers to conduct pre-trip inspections to avoid accidents like this one, which could have caused serious injuries, even death. UHP says it looks like the trailer equipment was not safe. Some Salt Lake City employees are getting a pay raise.
That's right. Today, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall announced a 30% pay increase for entry-level police officers and a 12% increase for senior-level officers. It comes with approval from 2 different unions representing hundreds of employees in Utah's capital city.
Let me be clear. The most important job of every city is to keep its residents and its businesses and visitors safe. On top of that, we've enacted the largest reforms that have ever happened in the Salt Lake City Police Department.
There are currently 63 jobs open in the Salt Lake City Police Department. Mendenhall also says she recognizes today's announcement as a first step in getting all city employees the proper pay for the work they do.
As tourism increases and more people move to Utah, heavy traffic is bound to have an impact on our wild and natural spaces. Coming up, we'll show you 2 options to protect the environment.
More showers and thunderstorms here across the state right now. Coming up, where we have these storms and what we can expect for the weekend. We're back in 60 seconds.
After months and months of studying what might ease traffic congestion in Little Cottonwood Canyon over the next 30 years, UDOT has narrowed it down to 2 options.
1, an enhanced bus with roadway widening in peak periods in the shoulder lane, and 2 is a gondola near the mouth of Little Cottonwood Canyon. The environmental impact statement shows that by 2050, traffic on Wasatch Boulevard is projected to grow by 45%, and travel time to the resorts will take 80 to 85 minutes.
As Utah continues to grow, more people are moving here because of the great transportation opportunities that are so close to the valley. And as more and more people are coming up here to ski and recreate and just enjoy this amazing place, it's becoming harder and harder to get to.
The enhanced bus system would take 36 minutes to get from the parking lot right at the bottom of the canyon to Alta or Snowbird and then depart every 5 minutes. That system would cost $510 million. Now, the second option, the gondola, would cost $592 million and get passengers to the resorts in 50 to 59 minutes. Each cab could hold 35 passengers and arrive every 2 minutes. You can submit public comment through August 9th. The Utah Shakespeare Festival is up and running again after it was canceled last year. You know why? Because of the pandemic.
That's right. Yesterday, Shakespeare enthusiasts of all ages welcomed the opening of the festival with the performance of Pericles. This season, the festival is celebrating 60 years of Shakespeare in Cedar City. The traditional performances run until early October. Ticket prices start at $23.
Federal unemployment assistance expires tomorrow, but there are still a wide variety of state assistance programs that you can take advantage of. Coming up, we'll let you know where you can find them.
And later in sports, what does BYU's Kalani Sitake have to say about the idea of a 12-team college football playoff? I like that idea. Plus, RSL's back at home tomorrow. And pitchers continuing to dominate the landscape across Major League Baseball. That in a bit.
So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News Live at 5. Allison's going to have your weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Federal pandemic unemployment assistance will end statewide tomorrow, a move that is expected to impact a lot of Utahns, 28,000.
Fox 13's Diego Romo spoke with the state about resources available for those still looking for a job.
Important message is that unemployment insurance is going to return to its pre-pandemic level.
Beginning Saturday, 4 pandemic-related federal assistance programs will end in Utah, a move that was announced by Governor Cox back in May.
One of the ones that will be ending this week is the $300 a week stimulus payment.
This also includes the unemployment extension for those who have exhausted state benefits and temporary benefits for the self-employed and gig workers. Even though the program expires Saturday, Burt says those on unemployment should still file for this week.
And they'll report what happened this week, that they looked for work, that they didn't earn wages, that they're still able and available, and then they will be paid for unemployment insurance this week. That payment goes out next week.
The Department of Workforce Services wants to remind people that state unemployment benefits will continue, but under pre-pandemic rates and regulations. Utah has the 4th lowest unemployment rate in the country at 2.7%, and between 50,000 and 75,000 open positions around the state. DWS says the decision to end the federal benefits early was based on Utah's economic performance and vaccine availability.
These unemployment insurance absolutely made sense early in the pandemic. There was business restrictions. There was a health pandemic where individuals had to stay home. Their vaccine was not readily available. But the current situation in the state of Utah is certainly different.
In total, 26 states are ending the benefits early before they are set to expire in September, with the majority of those states' leaders saying the continuation of the benefits is actually hurting the labor market and creating a disincentive to return to work.
I just philosophically don't believe that the government should be competing against the private sector to keep people out of the workforce.
University of Utah economics professor Tom Maloney disagrees.
I don't think that unemployment insurance has had a very big impact on holding people out of work. I mean, there has been tremendous job growth in leisure and entertainment. If you look at the nation as a whole, people are finding and taking jobs in that sector. There's been tremendous job growth at the bottom of the wage distribution, which is not what you'd expect if you thought supplemental unemployment was holding people out, because those are the people that you would expect to be attracted by that.
In Salt Lake City, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Department of Workforce Services says there is still a wide variety of resources available to those who need help finding a job and those who need financial assistance. Links to those programs can be found at fox13now.com.
We made it. Happy Friday, everyone. Nice temperatures today.
Yeah, right?
It's the biggest smile I've seen in a long time, Bob.
There's a reason for that.
We do still have some rain, even lightning happening across the state, Allison.
That's a smile only reserved for Fridays. We are almost to the weekend. Yes, still have some thunderstorms that I'm tracking here across eastern Utah. So here's the setup. What we have for tomorrow, still a chance for some thunderstorms, mostly in the eastern third of the state. But Price, a lot of lightning right now along Highway 6 down towards Green River. Of course, the concern there becomes any sort of dry lightning. I am seeing some pockets of rain near Price, though, but out ahead of that, lightning, obviously a concern with how dry our state has been. And then across southern Utah, just south of I-70, we also have a few areas of lightning and rain showers. Through Evanston, the heaviest rain has already passed through I-80. A lot of rain and thunderstorms right between Canyonlands and Blanding. Some pockets of heavier rain near Blanding, and then a lot of lightning on that southern end of Canyonlands towards the Needles District. Bryce Canyon National Park also seeing some pockets of heavier rain. So temperature-wise, we have 80s and 90s here across a lot of the state. Compared to this time 24 hours ago, it is about 10 to 20 degrees warmer out there here along the Wasatch Front. Ely's our biggest difference. It's 25 degrees warmer compared to this time yesterday. So tonight, 10 p.m., 73 degrees. By 8 a.m., 69 degrees. And then we do have, of course, you can check out on your weather app for traffic on demand, and also you can see our graphics on demand for weather anytime that you'd like. And we have that just by searching Fox 13 on your Roku, on your smart TV, regardless of what you have. But I am going to be tracking a few more thunderstorms across eastern Utah through the early evening, and we are going to end up with, by tomorrow afternoon, maybe even a few more thunderstorms, mostly across eastern Utah during the afternoon. Potential rainfall out of this, in addition to where we've been, really minimal, mostly about 1/10 of an inch of rain. But Arches probable for that rating for flash flooding for the rest of the day, possible for the rest of our recreation areas. So Arches, it's a little bit higher than the rest of our recreation areas. As always, flash flood safety, get to higher ground, do not drive into floodwaters, and also stay informed. For St. George, temperatures 102 tomorrow, 104 on Sunday, and then next week close to 100 degrees. And for the Wasatch Front, Salt Lake 87 on Saturday, 90 for Sunday, low 90s into early next week.
Real Salt Lake has had a busy schedule lately.
Yeah, they play the Houston Dynamo tomorrow night at Rio Tinto Stadium, and they're like neck and neck in the standings. So a win, they can jump, leapfrog, climb up a little bit. That'd be nice. Real Salt Lake completing a difficult stretch of 3 games in 9 nights. They fell short at undefeated Seattle on Wednesday, but Albert Rusnak's PK score was a positive. RSL's highest paid player breaking a stretch of 11 straight games without a goal dating back to last year. Rusnak and company now looking ahead to a big one at the Riot with the Dynamo.
They also had a midweek game just like us, and they lost the 3 points at the very end against Portland. They came away with a tie at home. So I'm sure they'll be up for the game here, and they'll try to recover the points they lost at home. We're expecting a tough game. We've seen a video on them and how they're trying to play, and they're a very energetic team. At the same time, saying that we're fully aware of the fact that we're at home, and that we need to be the dominant force tomorrow, and we need to take care of the game and set the tempo from the first whistle.
Earlier this month, fans across the college football spectrum had cause to rejoice after the NCAA movers and shakers announced they were moving ahead with the conversation of an expanded playoff, potentially going from a 4-team format up to a 12-team playoff format. And while it could take months at the earliest for such a long overdue pipe dream to ever bear fruit, the initial news was great for non-Power 5s like BYU. I asked Kalani Sitake about the recent chatter at last week's media day.
I think it gives hope to everybody in college football. I think it's really good for football, especially in college, and to have everyone feel like they have a shot at winning a championship, a national championship, and not limiting it to a few numbers. But I think the game is headed towards that, and I think it's going to cause more excitement. And I just like the fact that they're thinking about adding games and adding more teams, and then increasing the possibilities for everyone to be included.
A Cougar distance runner came up a hair short of representing the U.S. at the Summer Games in Japan. Courtney Wayment last night placed 4th in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, just outside the top 3 needed to make the Olympic roster. There are still some Cougars still alive, including Casey Klinger and Connor Mantz, who both qualified for the 5,000-meter final. U gymnast Michaela Skinner goes tonight. To baseball, where there was yet another no-hitter last night. Zach Davies teaming up with relievers Ryan Tepera, Andrew Chaffin, and Craig Kimbrell for the Cubs' first combined no-no in franchise history, 4-0 over the Dodgers. It's the 7th no-hitter in Major League Baseball, tied for most in a single season since the year 1900. And we haven't even hit the All-Star break yet. And then this happened today, Mets-Phillies, where Philly pitcher Aaron Nola struck out 10 consecutive batters between the first and fourth frames, tying a Major League record. The only other guy to do that was the great Tom Seaver. Bob remembers him. 51 years ago. Nola also had an RBI double on Friday, but didn't even get the win, and that's because the Mets rallied to take it 2-1. You remember 20 years ago, the talk was all Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds.
Sammy Sosa.
It was all the long ball, and now the game's changing.
It really is.
Pitchers are really taking control lately.
Hey, Michaela Skinner, will we know tonight if she makes the Olympic
it probably
gymnastic
won't
team?
be until tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to be following. There's a couple other former Utes as well in the hunt trying to make that roster.
I'm excited for Michaela.
Yeah.
I hope she does. Thanks, Morgan.
We'll be right back.
Partly cloudy tomorrow in St. George with a high of 102, close to 105 by Sunday. Hot into next week and for the Wasatch Front. Temperatures in the upper 80s for Saturday, 90 for Sunday, low 90s by Monday. And then we'll keep things above average throughout the rest of the 7-day forecast.
But still no triple digits next week for us
That's right.
up here.
Yeah.
We're happy about that.
Good to
Alice.
point out.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us this evening. See you back here tonight at 9.
Have a good evening.